Boom, bam. All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Sound Meaningful Conversations. We have Sebastian Griffin, who, believe it or not, is my cousin.
Sweet, sweet cousin.
So stoked. Yeah, so stoked to have you on here.
Welcome, Sebastian.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Calvin. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
And your audio is actually coming in pretty well.
That's great.
I'm impressed there for AirPods. It's like not bad at all.
They're the best.
What are we
That's
doing
why
buying all this fancy
we
equipment,
pay
Cal?
for an arm and leg club.
Right?
We
So-
don't even want to know how much Brenson spent on his equipment.
But I will tell you if you ask, because I'm kind of nerdy about it, actually. I got so much new stuff, and I'm just like, it's like Christmas every time that the doorbell rings. I'm like, Amazon. So, well, so it's kind of funny because me and Sebastian are actually chatting. He's like, so what do you want to talk about? I'm like, I don't know, whatever we want to talk about. But there's a couple things that are on my mind, though. Number one, I feel like I have to catch people up because me and Calvin already know Sebastian, but those at home won't really know who Sebastian is. So the really long and short of it is he's just one of the most ambitious guys I've ever met. In many different areas, many different reasons. Right now, you're running for the House Representatives for the state of Idaho, correct?
Correct. In District 12, which is the city of Nampa.
Yep. So if you're in District 12, you know who to vote for now.
There you
In case
go.
you didn't before. So,
And if you don't know who to vote for, you'll know by the end of this podcast. So
exactly.
Well, and if they don't know my name at this point, there's a problem because
There's
we've
something
got
seriously wrong with your marketing.
plenty
yeah.
of signs out. We've called every phone number, and we're just making it happen.
So Sebastian like sends us like random texts. He's like, hey, or actually, I was in Boise. He took me for a drive. He's like, okay, did you notice anything on this last 5-minute drive? I'm like, no, what? He's like, crap. You driven past like 3 of my signs. Didn't even notice. I was like, I'm sorry. We were having a conversation. I was, watching the road as you should have been. No,
Nope.
it was so funny.
Well,
Yeah,
and
he's got him like
after-
all
and
over the place.
After that drive, I put out 5 more on that same strip. So next time he comes there, for sure, he'll see at least one.
Yeah, just have to look up for a second. Oh, okay, there's another one. Yeah. Other thing about Sebastian that's probably worth noting is that he's kind of just I don't know how I'm trying to find the right word to describe you. I've known him for a long time, obviously, but he's a doer, man. Like I just love it. Being around Sebastian is like just is being around someone to get stuff done. You were 17, right, when you passed that law? Do you want to tell the folks at home about what that was about?
Sure. So, where to start with it? So in high school, I learned pretty quick that you're programmed to be a robot. You go to class at a certain time, you eat lunch at a certain time, you sit in the same spot at a certain point, you don't move from that spot, and this is just how you do it because a bureaucrat said this is how you're going to do it. And for me, as Brunson says, the ADD, you'll see me like moving and swiveling in my chair. My hands get all crazy. That wasn't my jam. Like, sit down, be quiet for 45 minutes. We're going to learn something potentially, but chances are you won't. But it's going to be a great time. Like, oh my gosh, please, just take me from this place sooner rather than later.
Family trait, actually, in case you were curious.
Yeah. And even just being in this little box, I'm just getting anxious, but that's okay. So my sophomore year, I said, this isn't working. There's got to be a solution for kids that are high achieving or self-motivated or just have bigger than average goals. And so at 16, I had first went to, because everybody says, well, the legislature this or the politicians that. Everybody loves to blame somebody else, but there's not strategy on how to make actual change. So 16, I met with the chairman of the education committee in the Idaho Senate. His name was Dean Mortimer, Senator Mortimer. And I visited with him and he said, we're too late in the session. We can't make anything happen. Come see us next session. So now it's my junior year. I'm 17 years old. And he's like, Sebastian, you got a great idea. What are people saying about it? And I said, well, I've talked to people about it, but he's like, no, we need hard numbers. To be able to make something like this happen, we need hard, true numbers from superintendents, from parents, from students to make sure it'll work. I said, okay. So I got on SurveyMonkey and created a survey. And I'd been involved in leadership since 8th grade. So I had contacts with people from other high schools in the Valley, all the superintendents, all these things. I sent it out and we got 2,000 responses back and it was overwhelming. Yes, we want an opportunity like this. Yes, this is something we'd be interested in taking advantage of. Let's make it happen. And at that point, we still had this scholarship aspect in it, and that was a huge prospect for people. So when the bill actually got passed, I was 17 when we did that part. It was then the next session. My senior year, I spent 12 weeks every day at the Capitol. And that was to go and lobby for my own bill. I helped co-author it with Senator Thane, wrote it up, had it all nice, ready to go, and then it hit the ground running. So the first 3 weeks, it was getting it drafted. Then the next 3 weeks, it was getting it through Education Committee, seeing it through the House floor, having it amended, send back to committee, re-amending it,
Okay.
pulling out that scholarship.
I got a question, Sebastian. All right, so
Sure.
you're saying this like it's easy, right? Like,
It's
oh yeah, we had to just go write it up. But I mean, you've always been a bit of a nonconformist, right? Your entire
Sure.
life. But even
Sure.
at that, recognizing, because you are the youngest person in the history of Idaho, right, to author a bill, is that right?
So it depends. They say that. I don't know how true that is. I'm not going to be the one to trademark it and say youngest ever. Put it on a resume. Let's blast it to CBS. No, because you sometimes have. They call them. What do they call them? I don't know. But a sixth grader will say, "I would love if the monarch butterfly was a state butterfly this year." And then an senator will author it up, and for a day it'll be like that. So if you take it that way, for a bill of this significance, with this much detail and meeting the requirements of this many agencies, no, nobody has ever gotten a piece of legislation passed like this at 17, 18 years old. And and it was not easy.
Did you ever go, oh, this is way out of my league? Like, why did you
No.
think you could do it?
Because your only limitations yourself in anything. If you want to go and do triathlon, you can do triathlon. If you want to go and write a bill, you can go write a bill. The only person that's going to stop you is yourself, and that's in anything. That your mind is your greatest tool, and you know as well as anybody. My dad beat that into us, not physically most of the time, but just mentally. You can do anything. The only person that's limiting you is yourself, and maybe some guy that's jealous of you. That was a lot of the programming done. So no, there wasn't at one moment I said, no, I couldn't do this. And if somebody said, you can't do this, which they did, I'm not going to say her name, but I had a principal at the time. She's like, it'll never pass. It'll never pass. I'm just telling you right now, you're wasting your time. I was like, oh, to hell with that. Let's see how long that goes. And we did. We got it through the House. And if you know the legislative process, it's a lengthy, tedious, slow-rolling process. It goes, first off, it has to get drafted, and they call that an RS. So an RS is a routing slip to know about the bill, and then you have to take that to a specific committee, education, for example, on this. And then they get a hearing. And then you introduce the bill as an RS. And they say, yes, we want to hear this bill, or no, we don't. They wanted to hear our bill. So then the RS got a bill number, Senate Bill 1060. After we got the Senate bill, we then take it to the education, and then we have to present it after meeting with all the senators, because nobody wants to waste their time. So you visit with all the senators beforehand, and you say, this is the bill, will you support it? It's called lobbying. Lots of money in it. Not in this case, not for me, but normally. And you say, would you support something like this, yes or no? And then you gauge and you adjust and you hear their concerns and questions, and then you take it to a committee. And I can't remember the exact number. I think it was 9 senators. Maybe it was less, but I think it was 9 senators. And you go and you present it to them, and they ask you questions, and they ask for the fiscal impact. Is it going to cost the state anything? Is it going to pull money away from schools because we have lobby groups that want to keep their money in this place or that? There's a lot to go into. I'm trying to cram it in a little bit. After it passes committee, it goes to the Senate at large on the Senate floor. There's 35 senators in the state of Idaho. They present the bill, they discuss the bill, and then they vote on it. In the Senate, we were good to go. We got it through the committee. We got it through the Senate floor, and then it has to go to the House and go through the same process. Go through the House Education Committee and then to the House floor. The House Education Committee was the hard part. They threw out amendments. One of the legislators said that it was an ugly pig. You can't just put lipstick on an ugly pig and then make it good. It was it was a legitimate bill. It wasn't like, oh, what a tender moment for this sweet kid. No,
cute little 17-year-old.
That's right.
Let's give him a little day in the sun.
Yeah, and we were throwing them with the numbers and with the facts. These are what superintendents in the Valley said. These are what teachers in the Valley said. These are what college professors are saying. These are what students are saying. These are what parents. They're supporting this, and we hope you support it. In the House, there was only 3 or 4 in that committee, 3 or 4 people that voted no, and then it got an overwhelming yes after the amendments were made. One of the amendments was there would not be a scholarship opportunity, unfortunately, which I felt brought in a big incentive, but that's neither here or there. That's a different day. Got it to the floor, and it was a whole to-do on the floor. They're debating it back and forth, back and forth. It ultimately passed, and I think it was overwhelmingly passed at that point. And then it returns back to the Senate to get re-voted on because you have amendments that were made or changes to it that the Senate then has to approve again. Passed unanimously, not one person voted no on it at that point, and then it went to the governor and got signed into law. I just made 10 minutes out of that, but that was the quick
Wow.
12-week program. I don't know how many bills got passed that session, but it was a big deal. For me, for students in Idaho, it created a lot of opportunity.
That's amazing. Thanks for breaking that all down. Me personally, I don't really understand how that whole process works. So, and I love hearing it from you because, okay, first time I met Sebastian, and just hearing stories about Sebastian. I mean, he's just dancing everywhere. You know, I know that he like started a dance and everything like that, and maybe we'll get into that later. But I just remember hearing. Okay, I have to ask: at what point did you get senators or people in the House or whoever it was to do the roller coaster? Or they were singing some song, or what? Where was that?
That was on the news, wasn't it?
No, they wouldn't
for
let
ridiculed.
it. Yeah, they wouldn't let it go on the news because people would then say, "Oh, they're using our tax-paying dollars to sing "Sweet Caroline." Impeach all of them." So we didn't blast it out, but I have it on my phone still. And
so funny.
In the Senate, they're like this, and they're old, and they're really good people. But there's one senator. She's 40-something years old, and she's the youngest by a long shot. And then we have a couple more that are in between. But I think the average age still is 68 years old. So they're just sitting there, just counting down the minutes. Okay. And they're all great people. I'm not criticizing any of them. But when I was a page, because I was a legislative page, it's where you get released from school to go and work at the Capitol and do the hands-on work. I had said, you know what? The session's going long. Let's get some energy in these people. That's what I'm all about. Let's make it exciting. And so I got permission from Senate leadership that sure, when we go to recess, which is a break in the process, let's do it. And I was the hot seat page. It's where they put you in the hot seat because you're too ADD, and they hand you bills and you run it through the whole Capitol all over the place all day. And so I loved it. And so I was the hot seat page, and I got up there and I said, "Senators, we're gonna bring some energy to this Capitol. Who's ready?" And they're like this. What's he doing? What's going on here? I said, "You know the song. You love the song. Let's hit it." And I put play on my phone and jammed it right up into the mic, and and all of them were going like this. And you just, anytime it goes on, everybody just knows it. It's like we know better than the national anthem almost. And all of a sudden they're going hands, touching hands, and they're reaching out. I say, "Come on, senators, reach out. Let's do it." I wish I could be Baptist sometimes. Like, "Come on, senators, put it out. Put your hands up." And they're going, hands, and they're getting into it. Touching hands, reaching out, and they're like hugging each other, and it was fantastic. and then we couldn't post it, and that's fine too. But
I can't post it.
You've got to, peace be with the journey. You've got to enjoy it. Not everything has to be life or death, and that's what just makes life enjoyable. I'll remember that forever, and I'm pretty sure a lot of them will too. However long forever is for them left on Earth.
Oh man, it's funny because the odds of them ever actually listening to this podcast are pretty slim. So
Good.
it's a little podcast is really not in their generation. Yeah, that's a generational thing. Mm-hmm. This is not AM radio. Okay, so Bass, you've had tons of entrepreneurial role models. Your dad's a very successful entrepreneur. You've been a successful entrepreneur. I mean, and I'm not trying to flatter you, but you know this. Everything you've done very well at, right? And you could have been very, very wealthy by now, in my perspective. But you chose politics of all the crazy things on this green earth to do. Why politics? Why not chase the business world or chase one of these other 1,000 endeavors? Why be the only young person in the entire room?
Yeah, well, I don't know. And I've had a perspective for a long time, and I'm not going to go into why, but we're only given so many opportunities while we're here. Sure, we can make ourselves monetarily successful or be successful in business. I'm still young. Like right now, as soon as I hop off this, I'm going to meetings and I'm going to school and I'm doing all these things. I'm taking 16 credits this semester while working full time, while running a campaign, while helping on a couple other campaigns. Money isn't it for me. You need money, and some people will disagree in that, but I just look at the value that you can bring to others and for yourself. And I'm getting beat down right now in my campaign because they say he's got 0 experience. He's 21. Are you crazy? Why would you ever vote for this guy? And I just look at it as, number one, we say we're a representative group. We're a republic democracy. We're representative of the people. When our legislature is average age is 68 years old, that doesn't sound very representative of me. That sounds pretty exclusive to the retirees.
Gerontocracy, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just, I look at it as we need more opportunity, especially in education. That's my big forefront theme of the whole campaign is education. We in this country right now, we've created a lazy generation. And I say that lightly, but it's how I see it is a lot of people, we're not going to go into an industry for 30 plus years. It's just not going to happen. I don't know very many people that are programmed to be that way. It's such a diverse and different time. The reason I'm running is because I want to have multiple avenues in my life. I want to be involved in politics. I'm studying to be a lawyer. I take the LSAT this summer. There's only so much time that we have here. Why not take advantage of every opportunity? And this is another opportunity. People say, you can't do that. Prove them wrong. They said, one of our campaign managers, he said, listen, Seabass, in this game, the older folks, the retirees, they're all talk. They'll get you all hyped up unless you can raise the money, knock the doors, and get the message out. Some old tiger's going to get in, old Mormon tiger, he's going to run against you, and that'll just be it. I said, well, how can we not have that happen? I've never seen it happen successfully, but this is how you do it. You raise money initially, you build up a kitchen cabinet or a big team, and you make it happen. We're over $16,000 raised. I've got triple what any other candidate in my race has right now. I have the entire school board's endorsement. You blocked
that's
out.
a lot. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. You had triple.
It's a lot. It's triple. Because in a legislative race, we're only going to have 5,000 of the 60-some thousand people registered to vote to show up. So it's a marketing and messaging deal. $16,000. Endorsements from the entire school board, the Nampa School Board. I've got endorsements from 4 of the 6 or 7 city councilors. The good sheriff of Canyon County is endorsed. I visit with the assessor, the clerk, the other 2 commissioners, the police chief, all the local businesses in the city, because you have to be actively and proactively working towards anything to be successful. And I don't think of myself as overly successful, but I do see myself as driven and motivated to make accomplishments happen. So that's why
Are you going?
monetary.
Are you going to
The
be the
money will.
youngest ever if you get elected?
I don't think so, because in Idaho, at some point way back in like the 50s, they let people 18 years old run. And back in the 50s, Idaho was a population of 300,000 or 350 or whatever it was. Might even be less, might even be more. That's just shooting off the cuff. Right now, we're at 1.6 million. The requirement, the minimum age is 21. So I'm scraping in by my teeth here. I believe I'm the youngest in the race right now, statewide. And if I get elected, I will be the youngest in the entire legislature by a long shot, by at least 12 or something years.
Will
And
you be the youngest elected representative in the U.S. for that particular position? Is there anyone you know that's younger in other states?
I think there is one in Virginia, but I don't know. I don't know if he got elected. I'm not following any other races like that, but
Yeah,
if I am not
but
the
you might be.
youngest,
Yeah,
I'll
you might
be
be the
top five
youngest.
youngest.
Yeah, in the nation
Yeah.
as elected representative.
hmm At the state level, at least.
Yeah, that's
But there's
amazing.
people that get involved in school boards and things like that around the country, and I think it's fantastic. I see it. I can't remember, maybe it was Arizona. There was a senior in high school that the school board said, "Listen, we're not getting rid of masks. And this isn't getting political in this sense. I have my feelings about it, but this is just the backstory." He said, "We need masks off students. It's causing lifetimes worth of issues and trauma and all these things." And he went to the school board and petitioned it, and they said, "Listen, we're not. You're 17 years old. Just sit down, relax, go have some kids of your own, and then worry about it." He's like, "If you do not take me seriously, I will run against you." And they all laughed and they chuckled. They thought, "Oh, this a threat? You're trying to blackball us right now?" He ran and he kicked out the chairman of the school board, and he was the biggest pusher of getting masks off kids' faces in the school district, opened up schools again, and that Arizona district is now open without masks from an 18-year-old that ran and kicked out the chairman. He ran against the chairman and won. I think there's absolutely opportunity in it. If you have the desire, why not do it? You have to have support. There's no way I could be doing this on my own. But I work hard enough to get people on my team to be able to do it. There is
Yeah.
not one elected official in Nampa or Canyon County that I have not spent at least one 1 hour visit with, maybe even two or three, to say this is why I want to do this. I believe that we have an opportunity right now to make a major shift in education because we have a workforce shortage. Where does that come from? It comes from our foundations. What's our foundations? Education. If students are programmed to just sit and be miserable for their whole day, not learning trades, not learning CTE programs like dental hygienists, EMTs, things like this in the classroom, not getting opportunities to intern, of course they're going to hit the ground and run flat. Not
Yeah.
every student's going to college. Inflation is causing kids and youth not to be able to get into homes, not being able to pay for college without debt, and people don't want debt. They've seen generationally the destruction that it is, and when you program them to say, "Hey, life's free. Just take the free money." People are smart enough, I hope, at this point to say, "No, we're going to have to pay for that sometime, and it's going to be sometime soon." So,
Well, it's funny. Yeah, Calvin and I have talked a lot about this, that the whole, even just college itself has been a bit of a marketing scam, right? If you get your degree, you're pretty much guaranteed a job. So you can rack up all this debt, get your bachelor's degree in humanities, and don't worry, like the workforce will take care of you.
yeah.
That's it's somebody, I actually, this girl once, I was like, "What's your degree in?" She said, I'm getting a bachelor's in humanities." I'm like, "I'm so sorry." I was like, that's like, who's going to hire someone in the bachelor's in humanities? Like, what is that going to do? It's like, "So what do you want to do with it?" "Oh, I don't know. We'll just see what comes, I guess." Well, it's going to be a rough life for you, I think. If, at least with that student debt looming over your head, you'll never pay off. So,
Mm-hmm. and
I'm a pessimist, but
I'm one of the same people. I got a political science degree. I'm finishing up a political science degree. That in itself isn't getting me any job unless I want to be a lobbyist, which, hey, that doesn't sound half bad. But that's if you can get the job. Everybody else wants the same job. Ultimately, I want to be an attorney, so that degree did go into that pathway. But I think there's only a few things that, unless you're going to be a lawyer, a doctor, a teacher, or an engineer, you don't need a degree. You need experience. You need hands-on experience. You need to be networking. You need to be meeting people in the field that you want to be involved in. If you want to be a public speaker, meet the best public speaker, learn and train from them, and do the best. Why am I getting involved in politics? Because I've been involved in politics. I'm not coming in here out of left field not knowing anything. I helped on the mayor's race. I helped on the sheriff's race. I did a sheriff in Oregon's race. I helped on other legislators' races. We're city councilors, state elected officials for a brief time. Go and do the hands-on experience. And when they say, why should we hire you? What's your degree? And you say, I don't have a degree. I've got life experience. This is why.
Yeah.
I know that you don't know how to use Facebook. You know, the Facebook on the interwebs, it's this new thing that you need to get elected now. They go, have you heard of the internet? Doris, can you, it doesn't matter. I'm in. It's just like, are you kidding me? Find something and learn it and use it and sell yourself, market yourself.
Well, it's funny because we were in some ways raised very similar, because your dad would call me all the time. I mean, that was always his little 2 cents, right? Invest in yourself, Brunson. Invest in yourself. And I loved it, though. It was really a profound thing. And similar to you, everywhere I've gone, no one cares that much that I don't have a degree. I don't know if I talk about this podcast, but I dropped out of high school first, and then went to college at 16, and then dropped out of college once I realized that was a waste. So, and I'm not poo-pooing anyone that's getting a degree by any means. I mean, I think if you're getting a really weird degree and you don't know why, I might be poo-pooing that a little bit, but like by and large, anyways, but by and large, it's all the experiences. Like that's what everyone cares about. Hey, I worked at a sales job and I did X, I tripled the standard in this amount of time, and oh, that's amazing. Or I've worked for these different companies. I've been in these different experiences. And right now, I mean, I'm involved in the door-to-door world even, which some people think is maybe a waste of time. I look at it as so valuable, but it's those life experiences. That's what shapes everything. So no, I totally agree with that.
Yeah. Sebastian, I'm curious, you've talked a little bit about a couple of things that are driving you, like wanting kids to have experience and before, or instead of just sitting there having information tossed at them. What kinds of changes, like if you become elected and could have your way and your dream, what like maybe 2 or 3 things are you hoping would change?
Well, my 3 platform pieces are education, property tax, and public safety. And not being a homeowner, people just scoff a little bit at property tax. But once again, it comes back to who do you know that can help you achieve something? So, and I'll come back to that. There's my cliffhanger. For education, there's so much opportunity. We should be having students finding or pairing up, because in Nampa especially, we have a lot of local businesses that need help. You can't drive down the street and not see a help wanted sign almost on every building. They want people willing and able to work. If I was a junior or senior and I had the opportunity to make $10, $12, $14, because that's the starting wage now until it all crashes down, but for right now, I would do that all day long. Give me a work release. So I think we should have work release back in schools. I know some schools do it, but I think it should be a statewide opportunity. They call it an open period, but an actual work release where it is a accredited course to go and do internships, workforce training, CTE programs, and CTE is career technical and education, like dental hygienist, EMT, so on. We need more opportunities like that. One of my big ambitious goals, and this won't happen this term, and if I continue to get elected, we'll see. I would actually like to see a program where kids can study abroad for a semester sponsored by the state. We have a budget. It doesn't mean an increase in tax. It means an allotment of funding. if a kid wants to go to Guatemala or go to Mexico or go to the Dominican Republic, we should have a program available to them with parent consent and constant report where they go for a month or 2 or 3 for nickels on the dollar of what it would be just to have them in school, because the federal money's going to come anyway, so it's not a big loss, where they get an actual life experience to see a different culture. Racism will go down, a world perspective goes up. There's a lot of systematic change that happens with that. That's super ambitious.
And it's not that expensive. I think that's what everyone misunderstands too, is everyone thinks, oh my goodness, travel. I mean, how much would it cost to send a kid to a third world country? I'm like, well, take what they spend in America and cut that into like 1/20th.
Well, we've done it, Brunson. We literally did it. It was $100 a week to get food, board, and tutoring 3 times. I apologize. For 3 hours, once a day, 5 days a week.
Which
it was.
Yeah, and Calvin, were we paying the tourist premium for $100 a week for to live in Guatemala?
That's pretty darn good. You can do it for cheaper, but
yeah,
y'all got a good deal.
$400 a month? Are you kidding me? $400 a month to get 3 meals a day prepared for you and tutoring.
Walk away with a foreign language, which we both. I mean, our Spanish isn't great, but it's a heck of a lot better than anyone going 4 years listening to "Donde está la biblioteca?"
I'd agree with that. Yeah, you guys did great.
Yeah,
but that's the opportunities like that. That's a big push there. In property taxes, I meet with the assessor once a month. His name's Brian Stender, and you say, the assessor, what's he got to do with anything? He determines home values. He determines what the property tax rate's going to be based on a ton of variables. And I said, what can I do? I have to have a solution. He said, well, you want to know a secret? We have 4 highway districts in Nampa and Canyon County. Ada County has 1. So we have a lot of administrative costs that are going to 3 of those highway districts when we could just simply expand 1 by 50% or whatever it may be to oversee those 4 highway districts, and you'd see significant change in your property tax. I said, well, there we go. Now we've got an answer. Now it just takes somebody to go and implement it. And maybe it's top secret, maybe it's not. I'm super ambitious. I'm sure they're going to take me like this because then it's out of my control. I'm 1 vote out of 70 if I get elected, but I'm not going to sit there and fold my arms and just.
Well, it's not always about the vote either, you know.
No, it's about just saying, hey, and even for me, even if I don't carry the bill or author the bill, but say, hey, Representative Skog or Representative whoever, here's an idea. I will help you do it. I don't have to take the credit. I just want to see it happen. Let's make it happen. You've got more credibility. Let's do this. And working together. So property tax was number 2 in public safety. And it's a direct correlation with the American-Mexico border, the U.S.-Mexico border. We're seeing fentanyl and drug trafficking through Idaho trying to go up to Canada or Oregon or Washington or any of those other states coming straight through Idaho. We're seeing an extreme increase in drug trafficking and gang activity in my own hometown in Nampa. That's why I got the sheriff's endorsement, because I want to work with the sheriff to have actual task force implemented to say, hey, we're doing good things here. I don't want to hear of another person dying of an overdose from fentanyl. In Florida, they had, I can't remember if it's 10 or 100, so I'm not going to even quote the number, but they were on a military base and one person took it and it was so potent it killed that person and the person that tried to give them CPR because of just direct contact on their lips.
Jeez.
That's the stuff that's running through our states. We need to work with our law enforcement. I'm adamantly against the defund the police movement. When we don't have the police, and I'm packing right now. I got the Second Amendment going here. But I still understand that there's a need for the police. You have to have law enforcement. You have to have law and order. You have to have the judicial system. I'm not as far to the right to say, you know what? Cut all taxes. We don't need roads. We don't need heat. We don't need water treatment plants. We don't need law enforcement. Let's live off the land. That's never going to happen. So let's be proactive in what we can do. Those were my 3 things.
Love it. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. We're about ready to wrap on time, but I think that I feel like a lot of people can listen to this going, okay, like that's cool for you, Sebastian, but I don't know, I'm hardwired differently.
Anybody can do it. It just depends on if they want to. And it doesn't have to be in politics. It's in anything. If you want to go and paint art all day, Bronson, with a horse, go and do it and be the best at it. And don't let anybody say any different, and then sell your horse paintings. I just had a conversation with a guy, and he's going to start doing horse counseling. He goes out there on 2 benches, and a horse sits by him, and the horse nudges up on the patient because they have connectivity with your emotions, and it's all these things. I'm like, what the freak? You can do it with anything. It's not, you could be hardwired to be the greatest employee ever. Just be the greatest, and don't let anybody dwindle your fire. And that's with anything. If you want to be a world traveler and do a vlog and a podcast and a blog and write books and do it. Who cares? If you can pay your bills and support your wife and children, great. Who cares what you do? Nobody should be stopping you.
Yeah, a lot of that fear of failure. I think most people they can do it. They're just like, oh, but what if I mess it up? Or what if oh my goodness, what if the bill doesn't pass? I can't even start. Right? I think that's very common. I'm sure that you're not the first person to have a revolutionary idea about how we need to handle our education system, right? But there's doers, and then there's those that think about it. And I think most of those that think about it is because they're just afraid of, well, what if I start it and I look stupid when it doesn't pass? Or what if I start this and something doesn't fire right like it's supposed to? I mean, that's just my perspective.
Fear of failure, and then what we were talking about on another podcast, like people's dying regret, like the biggest dying regret is living a life according to how others think you should live it instead of how you want to live it. So what you're saying, Sebastian, like if you want to be the greatest, do it.
By no means am I the greatest in any avenue of my life. I like to bring a lot of energy and excitement. But when it comes to playing sham battle or coming to pass a bill or going out in school or anything like that, I'm average. Most people are average. I'm no different in extraordinarity. But it just comes down to who cares at the end of the day. And that's easier said than done. And a lot of people say, well, there's no bad ideas or there's no dumb ideas. There's definitely dumb and bad ideas. If somebody has a dumb bill, it's going to fail. Just talk to people. I think networking is the greatest tool ever. Find out if it's a dumb idea, if it's a bad idea, because there's some, and that's just my opinion. Some people would argue with me and say, man, he's a real true diehard Republican just trying to put us down and whatever. No, it comes with community. Nothing can be done without support of others, but you have to have that inner fire in yourself too.
I love that. Thanks,
well, guys,
Sebastian.
I think we're going to wrap it up. Bass, thanks for coming on the old show here. This has been a possibly even meaningful conversation.
Possibly meaningful.
Possibly.
I'd say it was semi-meaningful even.
Definitely. Yeah, at least once again I got to hear myself talk, so it was semi-meaningful to me.
And don't worry, we're going to send you the recording so you can listen to it again.
No, I will not. I don't like the sound of my voice. I don't like any of that. I will like your Facebook post when it goes out, and that'll be as far as I get with that click.
I love it. Bass, thanks for coming on, man.
No problem. Thank you.